Hi everyone, in this video I will show you how to use Sintel BI. Using Sintel BI involves three elements that you need to configure: data sources, dashboards, and settings. In this video I'll explain everything you need to know about these three elements by showing you how to build this Executives Overview dashboard. So with that, let's add the data source. Data source provides data to components on your dashboard. Creating the data source is simple. First, you select data source on the left navigation menu and select where you'd like to source your data. Once you select your list, you can provide a name for your new data source and then proceed. The new data source will be opened and you can configure it, including showing or hiding fields by selecting or deselecting the eye icon, like this. You can change the order of fields using drag and drop. You can apply filters to fields to exclude certain data. And you can click refresh to get a preview of your data. Once you complete your configuration, you can either save or save and exit to return to the data source screen. Once you're on the data sources screen, you can hover over any data source and edit, clone, deactivate or activate, or delete any of the data sources, like so. With one or more data sources now created, you can now proceed to design some dashboards to display the data. So the first step will be to select this plus icon and we'll add a new dashboard. I'm going to give it a title, which you'll see up here, and I'll give it a description and an icon. We have embedded Font Awesome into Sintel BI, which gives you access to thousands of possible icons. So you can decide on the one you like, and you can just type in the name given to it by Font Awesome, and it will come up like so. So the next thing you can do is turn on and off elevated borders. So when this is turned off, it overrides the individual components borders settings. Now I quite like the look of the elevated borders on my components, so I'm going to keep it turned on. And lastly, you can change the background colour of the dashboard, or if you have a specific company brand guideline that you're following, you can add the colour here with the hex code or the RGB numbers. Or you can just make it as straightforward as possible and go for white, which is what I'm going to do just because you might be following along with me. So let's quickly get to grips with how you add a component. So it's very intuitive. You can grab this donut chart and pop it here, and then you can resize it as you like. Let's say like this. And then if I want to chart the exact same again, I can just copy it and paste it alongside, or I could cut it all together and paste it somewhere else, or I could get rid of it and just delete it. Another option up here while we're looking is this one, which is the auto refresh setting. This is really helpful somewhere if you're on production or something where you want to enable an auto refresh on your dashboard. So you can enable it, and then you can select time interval by minutes and seconds. So I really like that option. I put that on most of my dashboards. The first component I'm going to add into our Executives Overview dashboard is the total sales summary card. So I'll just drag and drop the component and resize it. And in the properties section, I'm going to give it the description total sales with the subtitle for year 2021. Then I'll give it this euro icon I'll keep all these look and feel settings how they are, and I can play around with some of these settings. I tend to stick to the default, but you can change them if you'd like. And here I could add a link. So let's say you had another dashboard entirely focused on 2021 sales. You could add its URL here, and this summary card will become clickable, so it will link you to the dashboard you want to look at. Of course, you don't have to link it to another dashboard. You can link it to any URL you want. Just to make this dashboard as straightforward as possible, I'm going to leave this link option disabled. That's our properties covered, so now I'm going to assign the data. So the data source is called sales trends, so I'll select that and I'll drag the 2021 column over here and select sum. And there you go, that's our first component. I'm going to add 3 more summary cards in the exact same way as I just did that total sales summary card. So to add these, I'm just going to copy and paste my total sales summary card because I like the sizing of that, and that one is already set for me. So after that, I'll follow the same steps that I followed for adding the total sales card. So I'm just going to run and do that, and I'll be right back when they're filled out. Now, as you can see, I've edited all these to make the gross profit, sales growth year on year, then the revenue per unit summary cards. The next thing I'm going to do is in this space up here is I'm going to add in a date range filter, and this will allow me to filter the data on the dashboard by date. So I'll just say filtered by date on the title, and I'll have a little calendar icon. Again, as normal, you can change the look and feel, so you can turn off the elevated border if you wish, or you can choose to hide this on mobile. The other part of this is the basic settings, where you can decide for this to be read-only or hidden. So if it's read-only, you'll select the date range in which you want to be visible on the dashboard, and if it's not read-only, it will allow the user to select the date range that they want to view. Because this is an executive's overview, I'm going to allow them to filter the date themselves, and I will keep it unhidden, of course. I'm going to wait to assign data to this until all the rest of my components have been added, so I know exactly which data sources have been used and which columns and components I want to apply the filter to. So we'll park that there for a minute, but our space is filled. The next thing I want to do is add column chart for sales trends. So let's drag it there. I'll add this money icon, and I'll assign the data, sales trends, 2020, 2021, and month to the column. And we want the sum of 2020 and the sum of 2021, and it's done by month. The next thing I'm going to add is a donut chart to track our sales based off the region. So I'll add it and give it a title and a subtitle and an icon. Give it as a little question mark. And then I'm going to assign the data, sales trend, and then the value will be region and the column will also be region. So the data has been added, but as you can see, we actually don't have any information here. So I'll pop back to our properties and I'll say show legend. And you'd also have the option to show labels, but I think I prefer the legend. And you can choose the legend position. So I can put it on the top, left, bottom, or right as it was set to originally, and I can give the legend a shape, so it can be the series type or circle, pentagon, triangle, rectangle. I think I'll go for a circle. And yeah, that's our regional sales donut chart. The next component I'll add is a line chart to track the company's revenue growth. So I'll add it and resize it like so. Give it a title, revenue growth, and an icon. And then I will assign the data. Sales trends, value will be revenue growth, and the column will be month. And we'll do sum of revenue growth and do it by month. And there we can see our fluctuations up and down by each month. Next thing I want to show is a column chart that tracks the top 10 products by order sales. So I'll make that a little bit bigger and give it a title, and I'll give it an icon. And I'm actually not done the properties here, but I'm going to assign the data just so you'll see the impact of what I'm going to do next. So it's product sales, and I need to add profit here, product to the column and product to the row, and it's going to be the sum of the profit. And I'm going to head back to my properties section. I'm going to turn off the legend in the basic settings, and I will say show value labels. And I'm going to invert the axis as well, because I just think that will appear a little bit tidier. I'm going to apply a value axis minimum and maximum just to make it a little bit tidier and easier to read. So I'll put 200,000 and then I think 75 million. Then my other problem here is that this actually isn't showing in order, so I'm going to head back to my assigned data section and go into my sort settings and sort by the sum of the profit, and the sort direction will be ascending, and apply and see how that looks. Great, so now we actually have the top products by order quantity and in the order of their sales as well, which is really nice. Now the very last thing to do here is to assign data to this date filter. So I'll click assign data, and data source will be sales trend and the column will be month, and then we'll pick the components we want to assign it to. So I'd like to assign it to the sales trends component and the regional sales component, and I think that's everything I'd like. Yeah. So now people can filter it by the date, and let's just save and exit and have a quick look at our finished dashboard. Super good. So within 15 minutes there we had all our components added and the data applied, so it really couldn't be faster or smoother process. That's all for the moment. In the next video I will be bringing you through the various settings within Sintel BI, so if that's of interest to you, stay tuned. Thanks so much for watching this video on how to use Sintel BI. For any questions related to Sintel BI or Sintel forums, visit our website sintelaps.com. See you next time.